Guys, you are going to love today. I'm interviewing Randy Powell, and he takes us to a much deeper place, a deeper place to look at deeper leadership. And I want you to particularly listen into how he deals with relational filtering. We are the sum of the people we allow into our lives and the volume we give to their voices. So listen in to how he helps us think through how to filter those relationships. This is going to be great. This is the Arable Leader podcast. I'm Karl Martin, and we're exploring true, brave, kind, curious leadership, leading from your soul. Hi, once again, huge and excitable welcome to the Arable Leader, a podcast where we talk about leading from a deeper place, an essential place. We call that soul leadership. As you know, on every episode, we interview a different leader and try to get them to help us understand what it means to be true, brave, kind, and curious. So leadership is people. It's a person before it's ever an event or a process or a strategy or a structure. And everywhere that it isn't people, it goes wrong. And that's why I'm so stoked to have my friend, my therapist, my thought partner, Randy, with me today to talk about these things. Randy, I tried really hard to work out how to introduce you, what you do, why you do what you do. I had no idea how to start. So you're very welcome, but you're going to have to introduce yourself. Tell people who you are.
That's always a complex answer to how do I introduce a 71-year-old man and all the years of experience and
You're 71? You look like 43, Randy.
That's what I want. Yes, I like that. Thank you. I love lies, but I'll take them and enjoy it. I've been a minister for 46 years. I've been a therapist for over 46, a psychotherapist, married for over 46, just kind of doing life for a long time. And I've started businesses. I've pioneered churches. I currently have a counseling center with 80 therapists. We meet with churches, we meet with individuals, we help with life. We also have another group called Vibrant Living Coaching, which is all about how do we live vibrantly instead of in a vigilant world, which is what we're filled with. So I've been doing this, life for 71 years, but I'm having fun now in this later part to even do more things than I've done in the first part of my life.
That's amazing. And I don't know how you fit it all in. Here's the question that I'm really wanting to get to. Everywhere you go and everything you listen to at the moment tells you that leadership is in crisis as a concept and as a reality for people. And everything I do is about trying to help people become healthy leaders and systems become healthy systems. You very often are called in to deal with either a leader or a system or a team that's in abject crisis. What's the problem? Why have we got such a problem with leadership in our world today?
That's a great question. A system is a direct reflection of its leadership. So if the leadership isn't healthy and there's a dysfunctionality on who they are, the system is going to follow. Once the system gets plugged in its culture, its habits, its perspectives of a dysfunction, even a healthy leader coming in has a difficult time to change the whole culture and work on changing it. So we have people that are coming in and they're not recognizing what a leader is. A true leader is one who works for change, innovation, make something better, be creative. So that when you take over in leadership, you're saying, how can I make this better than it was? And unfortunately, what many of us are doing is we're getting lost in the power of it. And we're going for self ends instead of for the creative fullness of developing a system, whether it's a corporation, whether it is a business, whether it's church, whether it's family life. What is your system going to be in its creativity and its health? And if I'm not healthy, there's no way the system's going to be healthy.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is it's fractal, right? An individual becomes a team leader leads an organization creates a culture. So if that's true, and we go back down through into the spiral, it starts with a person. And, I've written a book where I say that you are the project. So based on that, we have these qualities: true, brave, kind, and curious. I really want to push into the true thing, because I think you've got an interesting and really helpful angle on it. How does someone get to the true them? They want to show up in the world. They want to affect change. They want to make creativity, but sometimes they get in their own way. So how do you get to who you are as an individual and how you show up?
Well, the first part is there's pressures always coming at us. The culture, the need for finances, the need for growing, stockholders if you own a corporation, other people involved, family life. All of these are pressures to get us sidetracked off of where we're really trying to head and get us off of our focus of what is a leader and why are we doing this. And so we have to stop and be able to say, what am I experiencing at any given moment? What's going on in me? And the way I help people understand that is what I call PET reactions, P-E-T, your physical, your emotional, and your thought reactions, because we all have all three of those in any circumstance at any time. When you and I golfed in Scotland, I had a lot of pet reactions because you were kicking my tail and I was losing. And so I was having physical reactions.
Well, your physical wasn't very good. Your emotional showed up, and I've got no idea what you were thinking. So,
and that's exactly what can happen on any event, like activities like sports. If my physical is tightening up and getting upset, and I'm getting into a vigilant system, my adrenaline's kicking in, my fight, flight, freeze processes are going, and I'm not aware, then my physical is going to tighten me up, which will lessen my capability and my fluidity. It also has me go into tunnel vision, which then I'm not seeing clearly or processing clearly. So my emotions are going, danger, you're getting worse. Your thoughts are, I'm getting worse. I can't hit anything. I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah.
So that your PET then fills in these danger signals that then just builds into more tightness, more narrowness, more escalation, and less productivity. So we're in such a vigilant, escalated state that we don't even know what we're doing. So PET helps me to stop and say, okay, what's my physical? I feel my hands clenching. I feel my heart beating. I feel a rush to my head. My emotions are, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I'm uncertain. Thoughts are, I'm no good. Why am I doing this? Those are all clues to understand that we're out of control and that it's really probably not as dangerous as I'm experiencing.
Okay, this is brilliant. And so let's go a bit deeper into this and let's get more practical, because people listening and as leaders, I'm not sure there's been a more challenging moment in history for leaders. Not because the problems have got more difficult, but I think because everything's become more public. There are more opinions around. Everyone's always on. Performance is happening all the time. And so, some of the guys that I coach, CEOs in boardrooms, are facing pressures like they've never faced before. So I was coaching someone today, and they were talking about the fact they get angry. They're not normally an angry person, but stuff's coming at them, stuff from their personal life, stuff from their bosses, stuff from the finance people, and in a moment they snap. And so I like the PET stuff, but how do they even get to PET in the moment of kind of crisis, conflict, overwhelm? Give us some practical stuff around that.
Well, there's two
Randy,
things.
fix everyone. Come on.
I think I'm having a strong reaction right this second. My anxiety's going up. Pressure's on. I don't know what to do. My brain's shutting down. Well, there's two parts there, Karl. You're talking one that's in the immediate. So when someone's having the crisis of anxiety, panic, anger, fear, whatever it is, there are certain tools that we can do at that moment. So we'll mention those. But second is we want to build a skill so that when we are in that high escalation, we have a skill we've practiced when it's a lower intensity, a lower escalation, that we can access those skills of PET. So we want to practice PET when it's a minor issue. Something on a scale of 10 is only a 2, 10 being a grizzly bear going to kill me, life or death. I
Yeah.
want to practice on 2 or 3 or 4s so that I can know how to self-regulate, take deep breaths, calm myself when it is a 6, 7, or an 8, or it feels like it, and I know how to have the skills to calm down. So practice, discipline the PET on calmer things. That's number one.
Great. Great.
Now, in the moment, though, when I'm angry, I have to be able to stop at the moment, snap my hands together, clap, take a deep breath, think of something good for the moment immediately, distract myself from that moment, and realize it's not a bear, it's not a grizzly, this is
Huh.
not life or death.
Yeah.
My anger is a communication from my inner system that says we're looking at this as if it's dangerous, as if it's a bear, and I have to retrain and teach my amygdala, even at that moment, you're not needed. This is not life or death. So a clap, a snap, something to distract, shake your head, look around, take a deep breath, count to 10. All of those are ways to slow my system down and allow my frontal lobes and my amygdala, two different parts, to say, okay, let me calm my amygdala. Let me calm my fight, flight, freeze, my parasympathetic nervous system. Let me calm it down and get access back to my frontal lobes, my thinking. So deep breath, slow it down, think of something else, think of something completely different. But the phrase, it's not a bear, is a way to remind myself, this is
Yeah.
not life or death.
Yeah. And there's something also about assumptions that
Yes.
is really important here. I mean, one of the things that I've been trying to help some people with is an assumption isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's the way in which we run our lives. I assume gravity. I got out of bed in the morning. You know, we assume all the time. So assume makes an ass out of you and me is
Mm-hmm.
nonsense. But what's what you marry an assumption to? If I marry an assumption to a judgment, I've shut down possibilities. I've assumed things that are possibly not even there. But if I marry an assumption to a curiosity, I open up a dialogue with myself and possibly with others, which gives possibility to de-escalate the problem and think, this might not be personal at all. This might not be malice. It might just be clumsy. Talk to me about that in your system.
Well, the assumption is basically worrying about the future. Well, when we worry, it's anxiety. So an assumption takes me to anxiety when it's a worry on something that isn't even happening, that may happen in the future. So I get panic, anxiety, fear. Where an assumption of gravity, someone's going to stop at a red light, those assumptions are not fear-based. They've been proved out over time. So I'm living to the assumption, but not with anxiety because it has faith behind it. It has past experiences that are good. When we have past experiences that have been painful, then my amygdala is kicking in and I'm going into the assumption with anxiety of the future, of what could happen. So we've got to snap out of what could happen and back it up to what is happening. So we're out of the present now. We're in the future at that point. And what we're wanting to do in a meeting, I'm getting angry, someone's disagreeing with me, you're beating me in golf. At that moment, what I need to do is be able to take a breath and say, life isn't ending. I'm out here with my friend golfing. Look at the beauty. I am competitive, by the way, and I've been practicing. I want to beat you. So we're going to still play and we're going to do it. But there's not anxiety about us playing. It's joy. It's looking forward because it's not a danger. But if I let it be a definition of my value, my worth, I start getting anxious to go play. I get worried. I'm going to worsen my ability. Now we're in anxiety, panic, fear, because that assumption is leading to anxiety because I'm in the future, not in the present now. So in whatever situation we're in, we have to practice. Can we get in the now and look at the reality of the now? Is it really life or death? Is it
Yeah.
really a grizzly bear? And with you and I playing golf, no, it's a joy. It's a pleasure.
Although I swing like a grizzly bear, so let's go a little bit further into that anxiety, those assumption things. I was reading an article today that I think was published by Korn Ferry that said something like 72% of corporate CEOs in America carry an imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
Which, I'm actually surprised at how low that is, because everyone I coach has an imposter syndrome. I have an imposter syndrome. Talk to me about an imposter syndrome, about why people show up afraid that someone's going to find them out, afraid that they don't know everything they should know, and how leaders remain confident and therefore trusted with that imposter syndrome.
The problem is we're not embracing who we are. First off, we all are weak. We all have failures and weaknesses. A good
Totally.
leader
Yeah.
makes an honest evaluation of their weaknesses and their strengths, and it knows both.
Yeah.
I am not good at my finances at a corporate level. I mean, I can overview it, but I'm not going to do the accounting. I'm not going to do the analysis, but I hire people who can. I'm not going to act like I know how to do it well.
Yeah.
There are numerous things that way I'm not good at. When we make honest evaluation of ourselves, we know how to find someone and get someone else that can actually go there. Imposter syndrome often occurs because we're trying to act like we can do everything. We're not making an honest evaluation. So when we're not making an honest evaluation of our weaknesses and strengths, we're going to be insecure, inadequate. We're going to feel imposter, like we don't belong.
So the answer is accept you're an imposter.
It really is. It's paradoxical, isn't it? It's ironic.
Yeah. Just accept you're an imposter, accept you're brilliant at some things, accept you're broken in other areas, and stop faking it until you make it, and just get honest with people.
Correct. That's exactly it. And that's where confidence really comes from in anything we do, is honest evaluation. If you ask me if I'm a good therapist, coach, minister, I'd say, yeah, I've worked hard at it. I've studied, I've done a lot. But I'll also tell you my 20 areas of weakness.
Yeah.
Example, if you have to have brain surgery and you go to a brain surgeon, what's the first question you're going to ask the brain surgeon?
Have you done this before?
All right, are you any good? And if they go, oh, I'm okay, I'm kind of imposter, I don't know that I can do it, I'm out of there. I'm gone. But I want them to be honest. And so if they're honest with their weakness, they said, well, I'm not good at this surgery, but I have a friend that's really good at this type of brain surgery. I will trust that person. So now we have trust, but we also have confidence, and we're fighting imposter syndrome of not trying to fight and do something I'm truly not capable of. So it all begins with honesty, of looking at myself, my weaknesses and my strengths, and allowing both to exist, because they always exist, both of them.
So let's talk a little bit about honesty, because having an honest understanding of who we are, where we come from, how we show up, how we are experienced in this world is fundamental to leading well in this world. I think it was Jim Rohn who once said that we are the sum of the 5 people closest to us. And I've written saying I think that's kind of half true and half not true. I think we're actually the sum of everyone we allow into our relational world. I remember very vividly in one of the sessions that we had, I think in COVID actually, I can even remember exactly where I was, when you taught me about what I now call walls and gates, and a way of filtering our relationships to enable the right voices at the right volume at the right time into our world. I think our listeners would absolutely love you to do some expert teaching on how to get the right people in the right place and how to do that in a way that isn't clumsy and aggressive. Talk to us about, I think you call it Jerusalem's walls.
Yeah, it's based off of the understanding of Jerusalem had walls and why they had walls. Often nowadays we call boundaries, and there's lots of books out there. Cloud and Townsend had some of the first books on boundaries. There's others who put all boundaries, and those are great. But we need to understand there's multiple levels. It's not just a boundary like a city wall where I'm keeping people out. We need gates. We need to know how to guard those gates. We need people coming into our city or with the walls. We need gates and someone coming in so they can come to a marketplace, so they can bring food, they can bring silk, they can bring goods that we can trade and barter. When they're allowed in, we want to make sure it's safe. So we evaluate them even into our city, into our being, into our world, our area of culture and living. We want to evaluate, are they safe? Are they bringing weapons or not? If not, what are they bringing? And we call that transactional relationship at a marketplace level, at the first level. So we're going to have a transaction. I'm going to give you something. You give me something in return. It's very transactional. It's very simple. We all win. The next level in Jerusalem, there was an outer courts where only the Jews were allowed to go in. So they had to prove their Jewish heritage. Then they were allowed into the outer courts. It was more of a sacred space. So each level is more sacred that we're going to talk about, and you have to make sure that the person proves themselves a little more worthy to go to the next level. So a sacred area needs to be evaluated. Who are you? How are you coming in here? What am I showing you? How much am I revealing about myself? Am I revealing my information, my emotions, my being, or am I just sharing a little bit? So each level is deeper based on the trust that I've developed with this person. Then you have the actual temple itself. And the people allowed into the temple had to show they were clean. They had to prove they had an offering. So people that get into our more sacred area has to prove they're clean, that they have something worth giving, that they are not out to harm us. And so there's a proof process to allow people into more and more sacred area. And then the most holy, the most sacred is the Holy of Holies. Each of those levels at the Holy of Holies, that's an area that is the most intense. That's where I go a lot of times with people in therapy. We only have 2, 3, 4 people that can go to a Holy of Holies area at any given time. That's my most deep secrets, my greatest fears, anxieties, life, desires, hopes. Each level, we're proving the depth. And if someone in the temple would spit on the floor, they would take them outside the city to the dung gate, throw them in a dung pile, and stone them. Well, we may not do that today and kill someone, but we do need to evaluate and say, hey, they didn't honor my sacred information, my sacred being. I need to push them outside, even if it's a parent, even if it's someone we've loved and they've lost the safety. We have to move them out because they're not proving themselves worthwhile.
I can't state how important this is because leadership is relational. The way we do life is relational. We can't reflect who we're supposed to be in this world just on our own. We need people around us. But you need the right voices, the right people, the right proximity, and the right presence. So your model has been super helpful because it's about how I expel people, but it's also about how I invite people up into spaces, how I get transparent with people and vulnerable with people, and tell them that I love them, and tell them that they're my people. I don't think I can state as strongly as I want to how important putting people in the right spaces and giving people right access is for the kind of leadership that we need in this generation.
Yeah, it feeds me. If I have safe people and I'm sharing that I love you and they're loving me, it actually nourishes my being, my whole being. But I need to get those out that are sucking me dry, draining me, harming me. So you have to make evaluations. And it's awkward to take someone that you maybe like or family member and say, I'm sorry, you don't belong in the temple or the Holy of Holies. You belong in the marketplace. I'll see you 2, 3 times a year. Yeah. Some people who have been traumatized and gone through severe trauma, they don't even have any walls. They don't have any boundaries all the way in, let alone a major outer boundary. So each level has to be built, thought through, and said, what am I putting here and why is that? The sacred ones are interactive. Like you're saying, there is a mutual process, not just transactionally. Like at the other one, I'm giving you something because I'm getting returned. Whereas at the sacred levels, I'm giving because I love you. And it's not looking for a return. It's a process of giving.
So walls and gates, people, walls and gates. Learn this stuff. This is going to really help you. It's going to save you from a lot of pain, and it's going to help you massively. Randy, we're coming towards the end of our time, but one of the qualities that I talk about a lot is curiosity, which can be translated as creativity, as wonder, as every day is a school day. And I wanted to get one hot take from you on this because, you're in your 70s, although you look in your 50s, right? but there's something about the childlikeness in you that I covet. There's a wonder in you. There's a wide-eyed, sometimes innocence in you. Where does that come from, and how do you cultivate it? Because it's not just attractive. It means that you're always growing, you're always learning. So tell us about where that comes from, how you cultivate it.
Well, ironically, if we will, it goes back to honest evaluation of weaknesses and strengths. To be honest with it knows where I need to grow. And knowing that, I'm now open to anyone to learn. So for me, I have this little 24-year-old person that's just getting out of grad school, coming to workforce for the first time. I've been practicing for almost double their lifetime, and I can learn from them because they're reading something I've never read. They're understanding something new. So I look to everyone and say, what can I learn from that person? Where is that an area of weakness for me? I also have literally practiced celebrating other people and being okay that I'm average. So I go around practicing celebrating other people and their abilities and gifts and talents. So honest evaluation of my own weaknesses and strengths, looking for someone to teach me, and celebrating other people's talents and abilities allows me to be curious and look and keep growing.
And dancing down the corridor and singing and laughing at yourself and continuing to play golf badly. Brilliant. Randy, this has been awesome. And I'm absolutely no doubt I want to get you on again. And I want us to go deeper into some of these things because leadership from a deeper place involves you doing deep work. And it can be painful work. It can be challenging work. But if you are the project, and therefore everyone else is the subject and the object, and it goes beyond you, it has to start with going to some hard places, to look at some wounds, to look at some beliefs, to look at some influences. And this is a great place to start. Randy, you've been absolutely awesome. I'm so grateful for your time. And let's talk again soon, and maybe even play golf.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. This is fun.
You've been watching The Arable Leader with Karl Martin. Subscribe for more episodes with great leaders. And you can also listen to The Arable Leader wherever you get your podcasts. For more resources for leading in a healthy way, visit arableco.com and check out Karl's new book, The Cave, the Road, the Table, and the Fire: